Okay, my channel, it's about tree work, it's about tree care, but it's also about woodworking. It's pretty much all about wood. And I think if you watch my channel long enough, you get it. I'm a woodworker as well as a tree worker, and I like to feature woodworking videos as well. So from time to time, I'll go to a woodworking conference or a class or something that I'd like to share with you guys. So this last weekend, I went down to San Diego. Fine Woodworking put on a presentation down there at Palomar College. It was called Hands On, and there was about 5 different classes, so I signed up for one. The class that I signed up for was furniture design, and it was a very interesting class. Let me share it with you, and I'll share a few of the other things. Some of the exhibitors were there, and people were selling products, and it was an interesting weekend. I learned quite a bit. I don't know, if you're into woodworking, or even if you're not into woodworking, come check it out. So I went down to San Diego to the Fine Woodworking hands-on woodworking classes. There was about 5 classes being shown, and I took Michael Fortune's class. And if you don't know who Michael Fortune is, he's an amazing furniture maker and quite an interesting designer. There were a number of exhibitors there. There was a lot of tools to be had, a lot of interesting things to be seen there, but the classes were the primary thing. The school we went to was Palomar College, and I got to say it's one of the finest woodworking schools that I've ever seen. These are all examples of student work that has been produced in this college over the years. They have lots and lots of photographs. And I wanted to take you on a quick walkthrough in some of the rooms. They had a turning class that was going on, and I was kind of wishing I'd taken that class too. I mean, I wanted to take all the classes, but it was very, very inspirational, and it was also rewarding to see how many different types of classes that they had there, and how well equipped the school was. Because so many schools now, they just don't show woodworking. This was the hand tool class. I was really anxious to see what was inside that old toolbox there. And in the hand tool class, they've got lots of hand tools that you can check out and use. This was back up at the front. Veritas was there, Lee Valley was there, and in the background there was a guy that was into sharpening stones, and I'll talk about him a little bit later. So I wandered around to each of the different classrooms, and in the big machinery room, they had some pretty amazing tools. You know, they have a lot of the saw stop table saws. And if you're not familiar with the saw stop, it's a type of table saw that activates and shuts the saw down when it touches flesh. They had some great big CNC machines. They had this massive big joiner, looked like an aircraft carrier. A big old Oliver planer. That was a pretty cool looking tool. That's another part of the CNC machine. That's a computer driven carving tool that can do a lot of things. And they had some smaller ones. There's another CNC there. Yet another CNC. They had 3 of them. They had this big machine in the corner there, and I looked at it and looked at it. I couldn't figure out what it was, and I finally had to go ask my friend Bill what that was, and it turns out that is a specialty veneer cutting machine that cuts big bundles of veneer. It'll cut the whole bundle straight so you can straight line it. So this was an interesting class. They were doing really interesting bandsaw boxes, and there was another one that was doing sort of a Japanese style box. And it was fun. I could wander around, go from class to class. Maybe you can see some of the wood turners in action. There was all kinds of chunks of wood around here. Oh, this guy was cool. I met him right off the bat when I came in. He was the digital web guy for Fine Woodworking. So back to Michael Fortune's class. I thought that it would be a class on basic drafting, but it really kind of turned into more of a class on almost architecture, furniture architecture. You know, we did have to do some drawing, and we did have to do a lot of model making. So he had us cutting out these little styrofoam foam boards, and he was showing how he makes lots of his models with these foam boards.
Lightweight on 2-inch centers. And then, so that whole thing is a torsion box. The base is steam bent. The client doesn't know any of this, you know.
They don't care.
Yeah, they don't care. That is marquetry.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you've got thin veneer, like 1/42 commercial kind of veneer?
No, I use domestic cut veneer, which is way thicker. As soon as you document your ideas, then you get the opportunity to compare them. All right, and then the second thing is this: don't worry about the how-to. You generate an idea that you become excited about, and then the joy is problem solving how to actually do it. You know, you end up with kind of two tables in one with a strong, really strong black line traveling around the edge, but from the other view you don't see that, which might be kind of an intriguing thing for you to play with.
So these were my designs. I wanted to come up with a design for a headboard, and I wanted to use some veneers and do some marquetry. So it was interesting. Everything had to be built to scale, and I learned a lot. It was definitely an interesting exercise.
Way up like so. So we want to sort of keep our object. If we draw our object over here, it gets kind of small because it's going on into the distance. So maybe what we want to do with this object is draw it more over in this side. The other option is if this is 6 feet, we draw 3 feet of it this way and 3 feet of it this way. Right in here. And it comes over. You know, I'm looking at this, and it's kind of, this looks like it extends out a little bit. Oh, we're pretty darn close.
So Hap, tell me about your stones.
So this is a 70 micron or 200 grit range stone that I'm using.
Okay.
And I'm using it to set a new primary bevel on your Victorinox Swiss Army knife here.
And this is like a workhorse knife for me. It gets beat up and cuts ropes. And
I've been sharpening the same knife, or one like it, since I was 8 years old.
So this is your company. It's called Nano Hone.
It is my company. It's called Nano Hone. I design all sorts of sharpening gear and manufacture stones and lapping plates, and we're a little small company in the woods in Pepperell, Massachusetts.
So is your primary buyer woodworking, or?
I would say my primary buyer is a cook and a restaurant chef.
Okay, restaurant chefs. Okay.
So I'm going to put a new point on it. Now I'm only doing one side of the bevel here right now.
Okay.
And that way you can compare and see what my work looks like compared to what it looked like when I started. Then I'll do the other bevel.
Okay, we'll do a close-up of that.
So I'm just flattening the stone here with my lapping plate.
And you offer all of these for sale?
I do. I have 23 products in my catalog so far. And I make all of them, design all of them. They're all things that I thought I needed.
You know, in this case, you're kind of juggling a bunch of stuff that you don't really know what yet. That's why I awarded today's effort. But it's a good start. You know, you'd want to go home, take some cardboard, and lay this thing out. And don't lay it out on the floor. Lay it out at a level.